All buddies. Fez, did you have your headphones on?
Yes, I did.
How much of Chris and I bad-mouthing somebody actually went out on the air?
I would say 0% because I brought the room down in here immediately. As soon as I heard a voice, boom, I took the room right off.
Good move. All right, 0% went out.
0%.
Boy, you just almost had a scenes behind the scenes because Chris Stanley and I were bad-mouthing a very famous TV personality in a way that we probably would never say on the air. And Shelby put the mics on in a kind of a funny pranked way. Like, I don't keep up with the big Ashton Kutcher stuff, but this was like being pranked. And it was kind of fun, I guess, except for that thing. Now, what Chris did was yelled at Shelby and then ran back and forth from the door to his mic, back to the door, back to his mic.
It's odd to be able to do the hidden microphone prank with microphones everywhere.
That's what they always say in the business. There's no such thing as an off microphone. But I've never been in any radio show, mine or anyone else's, that during the commercial time you don't badmouth bosses, co-workers, everyone. Every once in a while somebody will get, we wouldn't have gotten fired for what we say here, but every once in a while somebody will get fired because they're making fun of commercials or minorities, thinking that they're in the commercial break and it's all going out for everybody. All right, it's the Ron Fez Show, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Funny man Rich Voss is going to be here. Right now, he went off to get a coffee with Howard, and we haven't found him back here since. I think the big news, and everybody's talking about it on the iBang.com today, is that FXX, with little fanfare, canceled the show Legit, starring Jim Jeffries, which had a very loyal, and still has a very loyal, intense following. It's a very, very funny show. But FX did such a bad job. Shelby, you're a comedy nerd. Could you believe how poorly they handled taking the show off one network, putting it on the new channel, FXXX, without really explaining it to the audience?
Yeah, I watched some of them, but even I wasn't even clear, that it did not perform well on FX. I didn't even know that it had really changed.
I watched everything the first season and wasn't sure where they start the second season. Television is crazy. We're talking about Jim Jeffries' show, Rich, getting canceled.
It got canceled?
Yeah, it's up in the news now, and no one really was sure how it moved from FX to FXXX.
You know what's weird, and I like Jim Jeffries. I like him a lot. And it's sad on the outside, but on the inside, I'm going good.
Why would you do that?
No,
Why?
I'm kidding.
Why does other people's problems make you feel better?
Here's the truth. I really like him.
Yeah.
I did a bit on one of my CDs, and 2 years before, and I'm not cute, and he didn't know, and then, but they did a whole segment almost based on a bit I do about, if you want to stay with keep a girl, find her insecurities, what fucks with her, and then take advantage. And then he did, and there was no way that he knew I did it. But then people come up to me and go, "You're doing Jim Jeffries' bit," you know what I mean?
Right.
And there's no way, because he's the most original, funny fucking dude.
Except in this case.
In what case? No, it was
these things happen.
It was parallel thinking. That's all. It was parallel thinking, and I'm a big fan of his. So there's certain guys you don't want to get canceled.
TV networks are so fucked up.
Well, you know why you don't want a guy like him to get canceled?
By the way, I didn't know you had this much ink. I haven't seen you in short sleeves like this in a while.
A lot is new. This one's new yesterday. It's a cover up. I'm doing this whole area over.
Yeah,
and this is new. A lot of the bottom stuff is in the last. I'm just finishing my arms, and then I'm done.
Now, do you think to yourself, before I go to the kids' PTA meeting, jacket?
Who goes to PTA meetings?
You don't do any of that.
You know what? This is what. Look at here's the thing. My kid's on her own. She's a smart kid. she could say.
I was up late last night, and I'm flipping around, and that comedians talking with in the middle of the night show. I can't think of the name of it, but it's out on the West Coast. It's,
Byron Allen?
Yeah, Byron Allen.
You call that a comedy show?
Your wife was on it,
Yeah.
pregnant.
Yes.
That's how, what a throwback that was.
I remember that day she taped with Jimmy Walker. I'll get to that, but let me finish Jim Jeffries real quick.
Okay.
The reason why it's bad for him to get canceled, because he's a comic. He's an edgy comic.
Yeah.
He's a comic that's not doing your hey, sitcom, you know what I mean? And he brings something different to the table.
Yeah.
That opens the door and helps other type of comics like that.
Right.
So and it's funny, and people, enough about this. This was offensive. It's funny stuff.
But it's hard for the masses for them to get out of the rhythm of the kind of sitcom comedy that we've seen our whole life. Like they're used to rhythm.
Yeah, I know, but you take a network like FX, which I think is unbelievable. I mean, the shows, Fargo and what do you call it?
Fargo's so fucking good.
And the one about the spies we watch it's slipping my mind.
Americans or something.
The
like
Americans.
That.
They have really good shows. They're bringing it to same with AMC. They're bringing it to another level where they're making networks and even HBO and Showtime compete with them.
When
The Shield was unbelievable.
When is My Wife Hates Me going to become a TV show? Because I went out and did the podcast live in front of an audience, and I'm watching you guys work, and I'm watching the audience just dying. I mean, you guys crush.
Thank you. We have one network interested. I mean, I don't know if they know. We know the format. Mm-hmm. We know the format for TV. It's based on the podcast.
Right.
And then it goes into semi-scripted reality, in between reality and Larry David. You know what I mean? Not cameras on you 24 hours, but not so rehearsed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of like the show. And we have networks. We have people interested. And this isn't trying to be fucking. There's no one like Bonnie and I. We're separately. There's people like us. There's comics like me. There's comics like her. Not as good, but together, there's no one like.
No,
us.
it's true.
And we're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, we're different. I mean, Burns and Allen. The difference is, she's Burns.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She doesn't, and we both can give each other crap and both take it. The thing is, what people like about us, or like about her, is I could call her stupid and she'll laugh. And so many guys can't say that to their spouse.
Right.
The things I could say to her.
It would stop everything because she's a comic first and she gets it.
Yeah, she gets it,
God damn, it was so funny being with you guys that night. It was so funny. It was so funny. Just, it's so funny to have that vantage point of seeing faces when you guys get into it. It was such a great night.
Thank you. I cannot. I even said to Bonnie the other day, I go, fucking Ron's line, when I said, about St. Jude, they keep sending me, and you said, no, there's still sick kids. It's so funny. I think I told you that on the street. That line just keeps, there's still sick kids. And I still get this.
I ran into Rich the other day on my block, and it was such a funny situation. You were coming down the street, and you were all amped up because you spent a day doing a thing. But this was so funny because I had my chick with me and 2 kids, and walking the dog at the same time. I look like the most suburban guy in the history of the world. And then you were all amped up because you're doing this Chris Rock movie.
I thought you were just walking your dog and they were fans.
Well, they are. I just, what you try to do is have fans as family.
And that's what's great about certain, like, for my life, your life, and in entertainment. Like, this is such a business where you deal with rejection on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But then when you can leave this horribleness and then at least have a family or
Right.
have something to go to center you.
Well, you know, I said to Opie when I did the Unmasked with them, you married a normal person,
Yeah.
meaning that is the biggest compliment I could think of. I don't
Yeah.
know whether his chick took it that way, but to be, you know, in Opie's position, surrounded by just madness for decades, right? The thing to have that thing to leave that and go be a normal, like a regular person.
Yeah.
You know that people like us think of like regular things as almost like a luxury sometimes.
Well, that's why LA is so horrific, going to
Right.
LA, because everything is show business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even your kids, you walk in the door and, Daddy, read my script. You know,
Right.
you
Daddy,
know,
read my script.
It's just, and I'm not saying you have to have kids and a wife to have a normal life. You don't. You
Yeah.
could have, you know, but this business will consume you. You know, I don't know about the radio because I've never, you know, I
Yeah.
just guess. But as a stand-up, it's not either I'm traveling, or I'm trying to get work, or I'm dealing with some kind of bullshit. You know, just
Right.
so much. The only
Now you have to keep your Twitter alive
Yeah,
and moving.
and all-
It's so stupid.
The only time I'm not fucking losing it is when I'm on stage, because then I don't have to worry about
All the other shit.
all the other bullshit. You know, even when I'm playing golf, I'm getting, oh fuck, I get a, you know, I'll see a text or this, that, and I go, you know, and it's just, it's so time consuming. Now there's points in your career or my career too where I've made enough money where other people are dealing with everything, you know.
But then
and
you're
it goes
dealing
on
with
the-
them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're dealing with the people who are supposed to take care of your shit, and that's annoying too.
Hey, listen, I've had many fucked up stories from agents and managers, and
Yeah.
I've had great ones, but you know, in our movie, Todd Glass said, "Look, there's 5% of industry that are great, just like comedy. You know,
Right.
there's bad comedy, and there's bad industry, and there's good comedy and good industry, and they get it. You know, but I don't. It doesn't matter what level. Listen, I'm doing fucking well." And I'm still stressed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whatever level, you know, I you know, you work with someone like Rock in a movie, and he's thinking, what am I going to do next? You know,
Right.
You know, and someone like Chris Rock, what am I going to do next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to do another hour. I got to do this. You know, because you got to keep staying relevant. You know.
Well, I love this podcast, and this time you're doing it. The marriage counselor is going to be the one and only Jim Norton.
Yes.
You're getting advice for your relationship for a person who's not known for having great relationships.
Well, that's one of the reasons I have him, so
Yeah.
I could look good this time.
Right. You want the anti. You're like, I see
honey?
what Jim is saying. Let's not do that.
Or see, honey, see what you could be with.
It is true.
See, can you imagine if you rolled over every morning to that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and he's as quick as you are. I mean, you two are probably the quickest like that, you know. And, you know, it's just, we want to bring this show, this live show, to get it to a, you know, we want to start getting, you know, Bonnie's friends with Anthony Bourdain, and get Colin, and I would love Tracy Morgan.
All these people would be terrific. Yeah.
You know,
it's a great idea.
You know, and just to do it.
And that way it keeps it different every time. You know, you
Yeah.
throw in that other person who, whether, you know, I mean, to me, I think the funniest thing is just have the least helpful people you could ever have sitting next to you.
I don't want a real marriage counselor. Then
Yeah.
who the fuck wants that?
That would be awful. And then you and Bonnie are performing at the Arlington Cinema Draft House this Friday.
Friday and Saturday. It's one of my favorite places to work. It's right outside D.C., the Arlington Draft House. It's a theater, an old theater. You know, sometimes they show movies, sometimes bands, comedy. They do a lot of alternative acts. They do, you know, Bobby just worked there, Kelly, and we work there once a year. It's probably my favorite place to work, and it's just hands down a great place. The Arlington Draft House, Friday and Saturday. You know what's good? That Ron's reading this now. I'm going to give you guys an inside scoop on radio. When they're getting rid of you, they say, and so you'll be here this weekend.
Yeah, when you reach for the paper, I actually talked to a guy who didn't do a lot of radio, and he thought that when I went down and read his thing coming in, that I had no idea who he was. And this is a guy who was like kind of on the musical side, somewhat of a hero of mine. And he goes, when I was reading off his things, I wanted to get him right. He was like, when I first met you, I was like, oh shit, because you know how many of those things that those guys have to do? Like they do interviews with people who have no idea who they are.
Oh, I've done interviews where you could tell they're reading off of the internet. Or
questions that they had just written up.
So
earlier.
you were the first white guy in Def Jam. You know, that was 15 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And I listen to certain tomorrow I'm doing radio in D.C. I'm doing Sports Junkies. They're great.
They're great. They're fantastic.
It's great radio.
Yeah.
There's certain places that are such fun to walk into. And, because they're just four dudes that started in their basement,
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have a looker across the table like him.
Well,
but,
Shelby's an attractive guy. Shelby actually turned the mics on as Chris and I were bad-mouthing a big TV personality. And during, the song, we were just sitting there talking about this game show host and how fucking terrible he is. And Shelby had turned our mics on and we didn't know it. And luckily Fez in the other room brought the whole room down as soon as he heard it. But this fucking kid will be the death of me. And we keep him around because he is, he's adorable.
But that's a good move.
Yeah, it is. That's a way to.
It's a good move.
Move over into the host chair.
Yeah.
I saw trouble when I saw those very slender fingers.
Was that fucking Vegas dancer movie where she made sure she
Showgirls?
Yeah, she pushed fucking Gina Gershon down the steps. That's fucking Shelby right now.
He's the Kevin Spacey from House of Cards in radio. He's gonna push his way into the presidency.
He manipulates everything. He's fucking got all of his dancing on his strings.
What I'm saying, Fez, is don't go in the subway on a subway platform with him.
Oh, yeah.
He will push you off.
Yeah, he's the host of the new show Whisper. You're on Candid Microphone.
You don't know how far Fez is away from the actual track of the subway. Go down with him, and he's got his ass on bum piss. He's just up against the fucking wall because, again, one thing about Fez, he sees danger even where it's not. We're talking in the podcast about your street smartness, right? Fez has taken it to a degree where if he sees an old lady, he has fear. If he sees a homeless person and has fear of being attacked, and you live in New York where homeless people are everywhere.
I feel like those people are always right outside my peripheral vision in my blind spot.
But you know what? It's good to know as a comic. You got to know what's going on around you in the room. You're seeing.
Right.
I know everything. I could see a couple fighting in the far corner.
Yeah,
I know. And in life, if you don't have that, you're going to get raped.
You're always looking to get raped.
Something bad's going to happen.
I think other than Shelby, we're all past the stage of anyone wanting to rape us. Shelby, you could still get raped.
Absolutely.
But, we would go to prison and get that thing of just being left alone by everyone,
So lonely in prison.
We would be... Listen, you got to clean my cell or do my laundry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rape you, but you have to do something for me.
I normally... Guys like us now would be put in that old white guy prison that they have where, they put accountants in and, child molesters because they know the other guys. So I know people that are in fucking jail, but it's a jail they could escape from easily.
The whole jail's protective custody.
Yeah, the whole jail is like, we're putting all you guys over there. There's ping pong. We want you to learn,
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys that... have gone to jail in Florida on different smuggling charges. And you would be surprised that for a white guy past a certain age, like Shelby would still be in trouble. But once you're past 30, 35, they're like, we're going to find a nice white jail for you. It's going to be uncomfortable. Don't get us wrong. You won't, there's going to be lights out and shit, but there's not a lot of guys stabbing each other.
I'd be getting turned inside out. You'd be learning racquetball.
Well, I don't learn racquetball, Shelby. It's not a mystery to me. I've been on the planet Earth. I get racquetball.
I'd be learning okay, you're probably a lot better with switches than you are with ad-libs.
See, he's fucking got you, prick.
Yeah, like, I don't know what it is about prisons, but prison movies, or you drive past one, it's like an obsession to stop and look at them, and it's because it's such a dark life. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's so intriguing. It's just intriguing.
What I was like fucking probably about 18 years old, and a friend of mine went to fucking jail. He was going to be in for a while. So I go in to visit him, and by the time I got all the way into the visit place, I go, this is the last visit you'll be getting from me. I'm not going through this fucking experience. Because literally guys are yelling down and shit. I'm not even kidding, I'm walking up to the fucking place, and a guy's yelling my name. I look up, it's another guy I know, and he's yelling, put my name on the list. Because just he wanted to get out and just come down,
Just a walk.
Yeah.
I did a show last year. It wasn't a prison. It was a county, but it was a tough county in Maryland or Delaware. And I'm on stage, and behind me is a dish with bags of potato chips and like 10 sodas. And the prisoners were staring at that dish like it was gold. Like,
sure.
Like, if they could only have one of those bags of chips, would have turned their life around. That's how.
Right.
That's how bad. You know what I mean? So after the show, one guy who was helping clean up, he goes, "Can I please have a diet soda?" I mean, a diet soda is.
But let's suppose like they just said, this room, you guys aren't getting out. You're all going to be here for the next 20 years.
Oh.
It would probably take us minutes, maybe hours, before we're like, we got to get that fucker over there. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, you got nothing else to do. Someone says something to you, and you're thinking, I'm going to fucking end that bitch. I can't fucking stand it anymore. Because, like, if I'm in, like, a doctor's office and I'm in there too long, I'm starting to think about killing people.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to kill him. I would just want to try to get something from him that would make my life easier.
Their shoes.
Yeah, something. like this guy, I would want to take his jacket for a blanket.
Right.
Or something.
And then that's the thing. Then Chris has to look over and he sees you wearing his sweatshirt. You know what I mean? And that's digging on him forever.
And there's 20 years of this to go.
Yeah. After a while, shit piles up. And then you just finally, like, if I hear another fucking story, I'm just going to stab him in the throat. Just one more fucking story.
I think Norton was telling me this. There was a guy in prison, and no one messed with him because every night he would play on his guitar and sing Country Road.
They just thought he was nutty, or
they loved it. The song helped them. And late at night before they all went to bed, he would sing Country Road.
Yeah.
And he had a complete pass in prison because he was the guy that could sing and play that song.
And that would I used to get a lot of prison mail when I was in Florida doing mornings there, and I would get even shit from guys that were going to get the electric chair, guys that were on death row, because they listened to that little transistor radio. It's all they had. So it would always be the same shit. First of all, guys that are on death row, particularly serial killers, I found, they do weird shit. All of them write on both sides of the paper. They just fill out as much as they can. I guess they have time. They all draw. There's always drawings in it. They'll use different colored pens where they do it. And to a person, they all said, could you get some Ozzy on for me? They would always, at the end of it, could you guys play some Ozzy? And they would be fucking nuts. And you would get, there was a guy, remember, he went in and burned up everybody in a fucking supermarket. He just went in, splashing fucking gasoline, lighting shit on fire. And he used to write, and it would be the weirdest shit.
He wasn't lighting people on fire.
Yeah, he lit people on fire, things, and he was just a mad dog. And then he would send fucking mail to me, just out of nowhere.
Did it creep you out?
Yeah, it was always a weird thing.
Did you ever respond back?
No,
or no,
never. Well, one guy, there was a serial killer. We brought his new girlfriend on and had her sing a song, and people were fucking furious with us. And he was a a guy who had really paralyzed the state for a while of just, because there would be a murder and then 4 or 5 days later another murder. Like when people watch The Following, none of that shit can get away because everyone goes crazy very quickly. Son of Sam shut down New York. I think he only killed 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
So you would never see one of these things actually take place. And then he would send stuff, and then finally his girlfriend came in. She sang a song about him, and everyone was fucking furious.
But how many people did he kill?
Probably killed somewhere about 5, half a dozen, all girls, And it was one of these guys that before they did it, they really had him. Like, do you remember the guy's name? Danny something, right?
Danny Rollins.
Danny Rolling. And before it happened, they had it where he was like, they had him like it was almost Silence of the Lambs. The papers were saying there was something ingenious there. When they caught him, he had a fucking campsite next to the railroad tracks. He was just a fucking another moron.
Just a drifter.
Just a fucking idiot that couldn't make it in life. And they had given him this kind of fame and stuff because, I don't know, he threw some Clorox on the room around after. But they're all nuts. They're all just crazy people.
Well, wasn't there a guy in Texas? Well, I know Gacy. I don't know how many he had, but there was a guy that had 2 other guys pick up hitchhikers.
Right.
And he must have killed like 40 or 50 people. Like, I mean...
It just means nothing to them.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
That song, I Don't Like Mondays, was about the girl that just opened her window and started shooting.
Yeah, that's what we have now more. We have more people that'll go into a mall, start shooting, than we will have the people that are just looking for fringe. But if you wanted to commit a murder, it would be easy enough as long as you're not, doing it for money or, revenge. Just to go out and kill a person, it's pretty easy to get away with. But why would you ever want to do it? What's the fucking upside?
I can't think of one. I talked about this on this week's podcast about, that I know a lot about profiling and stuff and I argue with Bonnie, but I've watched 15 or 20 years of Law and Order and CSI and stuff.
You feel like you could do it?
Well, you learn a lot of stuff, and she goes, "You're out of your mind." I go, "Well, no. Can you learn from the Discovery Channel? You can learn from everything." So,
but I also read other stuff that most of the shit that we think we know from movies, like every serial killer movie, right? They say, well, they take trophies, something to hold on to. And look, that's not true.
No,
none of them do that. The memory is fucking good enough for them,
Well, I have a speech impediment. My parents were divorced. Sexually, I'm inadequate. I fit a lot of the profiles of a serial killer.
If I had to pick someone here that I think would be a serial killer, it would probably be Fez. I could see Fez as one of those guys who takes a hammer to his elderly mom one day. And I still don't, because people don't know this about, well, people who listen long enough do. He has maybe the worst temper out of all of us, but it doesn't come out as much as our temper does. They're the scary kind of guys. And he also hates women, and I kind of think wants to be a woman. That's why he hates them.
Well, but for me, like, as I fit the profile, like I said, but if I see a bug in my house, Bonnie will kill.
You won't be the killer.
I'll put it in Tupperware.
Yeah.
And take it outside and set it free. Like, I don't like.
Do you
it's
keep
weird.
the Tupperware afterwards?
What's that?
Do you keep the Tupperware afterwards?
No, I have a dishwasher.
That's the kind of mind that worries.
Yeah.
He's a germ freak.
Well,
he's
Well, I didn't kill the bug in it. The bug crawled for maybe 4 seconds till I walked it out the door. I don't live in a mansion. And then we wash it, the Tupperware. Yeah.
Hicks put this up. Vito graduated today, and he put up a picture of him, tweeted it to us. He used to be so fast on that. I think I got everybody in the wrong positions. Like, that's really nice.
That's beautiful.
Who is that?
He's our intern. He graduated from some kind of film school. They're all in red.
Oh, if they only knew.
Yeah, they don't know
that
anything.
None of them were going to get a job.
Well, here's the weird
No,
thing.
that's not
Every kid that we're looking in is more in debt than any of us. They're all in incredible debt. You know, to sit there, they owe like $250,000, but not for a house.
This is what I got to ask you. I wanted to bring this up because I was talking to your intern, and I said, you know, you go to school, what year, and she's interning. And my daughter goes to Kane College, and I don't understand this, and I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, I just don't understand it. She's interning this summer, but she had to pay $1,500 to intern.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, what you do is you pay the school, not us.
Yeah, she's
they
paying
pay
the school.
so they get credits. It's crazy.
She's paying the school so she could do free work.
Right.
What? But
This
why?
is the exact opposite of Street Smart.
What the hell? Why is the school making profit on?
I never get it.
So you've heard it. It's insane.
We can't get people to intern unless they do that for insurance purposes. So if someone called us up and they said, "I'm a longtime listener to the show. I'm a open mic comic. I'd like to come in and intern," we'd have to say you have to go to a school and be accredited, and then that goes through HR. It's never even allowed to come through the people that are on the air.
Oh, so that's everywhere. So that's
100%. Yeah.
Oh, I thought her school was just scamming her.
No.
For $1,500.
What kind of place is she interning?
Oh, at like a gym type. You know, she's
Right.
going to get into the what do you call field? You know, physical fitness and stuff. My other daughter interned 2 summers at Nike. And then one at like Juicy Couture, and she graduated early in December, and she's already working at Macy's as like a
Fashion
assistant
thing?
buyer and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, they're two different,
Right.
but they're both good. You know, they both went to college. You know, so I'm very excited for both of them. She got that job right out of school.
That's tough today.
You know,
that's a tough thing to pull off.
You know, in Manhattan. So hopefully she'll work somewhere where I buy clothes. I mean, I buy them at Bloomingdale's, and Macy's owns Bloomingdale's. You know, this is riveting radio.
No, it is. We're pulling the curtain back.
Yeah.
And we're saying Rich Voss, the father. Rich Voss, the thinker. This weekend,
Yes.
You'll be able to go see Voss and Bonnie at the Arlington Cinema Draft House. They're home away from home. Friday and Saturday. You guys doing stand-up there? Or
Yeah, stand-up.
And then the podcast will be done live at the Village Underground, which is a really cool spot. David Tell does his TV show out of there. And Jim Norton will be the celebrity guest marriage counselor. And that's going to be beyond interesting.
You can get your tickets at comedyseller.com. And it's a fun show. Come out. We have a comic, Dave Smith, who's going to do warm-up. He's going to do like 10 minutes up front. Bonnie and I aren't going to do stand-up on this one. And then we'll have him do some comedy, and then we'll come out and figure this thing out.
Is Robert Kelly producing the show?
Yeah, he's our producer.
I brought this up to him. That was one of probably the best produced shows I've ever been a part of. Everything ran like clockwork. The music was there. The room looked great. The crowd was excellent. It was really, really a professional night.
Well, you guys and Opie and Anthony have a good comedy audience following. They know comedy. They know it. Like my wife this weekend did a women's festival in Boston, and she was Sunday on the Mother's Day show, and the audience is not a comedy audience. They were like, "Hey, we're away from our our husband and kids," So there were lady comics going up, going, "Hey, fuck our husbands," and the ladies going, "Woo!" And then my wife going up and doing her, I want to kill a hooker today,
right?
And my wife this is when she opens up with this show. She goes, "You ever see those Mother Day?" Those pictures where the husband's holding the baby and giving his wife flowers on Mother's Day and this and that. He's fucking someone else.
She's so funny.
That's her opening note to the rah-rah. But when you get, O&A and Ron Fez, they know comedy. You bring up Jim Jeffries and half of them are going, "Oh, that sucks," because he's a funny cat. You know what I mean? They know. You bring up Doug Stanhope. These people know who Doug Stanhope is. A funny fucking dude. So, Anyhow, come on out. Come out to the Arlington Draft House. I'm telling you, it's going to be a great show. Bonnie doesn't go on the road that much. She's brilliant. You know, and I don't fail.
No, he never fails. Great act. You know, we were saying that night. You were saying you're always on Bonnie's side, and I told you she has that thing where you try to get her to like you. People are always going to pick her over you because there's an extra thing about her. I don't even know what it is.
You know what it is? Because she is almost a dude.
Right. Like she'll be warm for a moment and then cold for a moment. And you're like, oh, I got to get the warm back.
Yeah, there's something about, like, if you know her, I mean, she rubs people the wrong way like I do. Like, you know, she walked in to this festival and someone goes, can I help you? And she goes, where's the green room? And the guy goes, are you a comic? And she says, do regular people ask for a green room? Okay. Instead of saying, yes, I'm a comic. Yes, I'm here to perform. Just, you know, and that's something I do. I go, what are you, fucking idiot? Who would it? So there's something about her that she'll do that. And then all of a sudden you're going, oh, she's great.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, know, as much as I hate her, she's brilliant. No, she is really, she's like a genius.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
She's good.
When it comes to, I mean, she's writing a book and she reads it. She's reading. I'm going, this brilliant. She goes, she thinks everything she does is horrible, and it's such a higher level.
Well, you read that Sammy Davis book. You brought that up. So, you know, you got your own background. You have a literary background yourself.
How did you know I read?
I was at the podcast when you brought it up.
Oh, yes, I can.
Look, the museum is opening up, the Underground Museum, and I don't know a single New Yorker who wants to go to the 9/11 museum.
Why? Because it's $24 to get in?
Well, beyond that. But I don't know why you would go, yes, let's go into this living tomb to relive that day. This thing, I don't know. I'm sure everybody has the best thing, but to do this as a tourist thing for me, it just...
The Post had a giant pictorial of like 10 pages long of all the pictures of what's inside there. It was terrible.
You don't want, you would never want to be down there. I don't want to be underground seeing mangled steel because there's a part of you that goes, yeah, that was one time it happened. When's the next?
I heard in this museum they have doors every like so people can bail out.
Is that right?
Yeah, they have. I have, and I don't have it hung. It's put away and stored because it's kind of creepy. I have a piece of paper that blew out of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And you could see the edges is burnt, and it says 84th floor World Trade Center. You know, and it just blew. And someone gave it to me, and I kept it. But it's even that is too fucking creepy for me to put out in my house. I have it, but it's stored away. It's just, you know, you don't forget, obviously, and you don't give these people a pass and let them build their own mosque down there and do that. I mean, unless you're a real liberal, I'm not conservative. But it's, you don't forget, it's just, it's hard to be reminded. Listen, I watched the other night 12 Years a Slave. It gives you a whole new perspective on slavery.
Pre this, you liked slavery before you saw this film?
No, but I mean,
I think that museum's free.
What I'm saying is, as a Jew, you go, well, look, we've had our struggle, you know, but there was, that's probably the most horrific thing that you can imagine. I mean, there's slavery throughout the world, you know, throughout time, but it's just, you go, you were slaves, let it go. No, you know what I mean? It destroyed a whole race of people generations down. And so I could see, I mean, you got to let go and move on in life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But you can't forget, that was some serious shit. Does this make sense, or am I just...
No, it definitely does, and I do agree that this country still hasn't gotten over it. But this is like, and a lot of people go get over it and stuff, but... And then I just saw a thing where someone fucking discovered this wrecked, right? It was this these treasure hunters, and it was like hundreds of years old. Spain found out about it, and they said, that's our fucking treasure. That's owed to us. even though all the people who would have been dead, that's why people bring up reparations, because this is fucking thing is never going to get past. That like you said, people who have that in their bloodline still feel fucking pissed off about it. You know?
Well, I mean, I think, and I don't know enough. I mean, I know a lot of Jews had everything stolen from them, their artwork, this and that. And which they're trying to get back, you know, their artwork will be in museums in other countries, and they go, wait, this was stolen fucking artwork from.
And those museums know it.
Yeah,
to this day, they know that they got a bunch of shit from Nazis.
Yeah,
back then.
So I don't know. I mean, listen, if I could chip in, I'll make a payment for whatever.
Right now, you owe a lot of money to St. Jude's. You know what I mean? You haven't got beyond that. But you know what? When you're talking about the Jewish thing, I always thought that the Nazi hunters was like one of the coolest stories to read any of those. Because some dude is just in Argentina and he's fucking 78. He's having a pina colada and he looks up and a couple fucking dudes are just coming at him. You know? And when you think I've gotten away, whatever happened, it's behind me, and here's the fucking past, ready to throw a bag over your head and fucking take your ass to Israel.
And look at the scene in Marathon Man, in the street. It's, and the guys, the old Jews are going, it's, and they remember this fucking face 50 years later.
Yeah, and I remember, well, you're saying 50 years, but if that movie was made, it was probably 30, right?
Yeah.
So to me, as a kid, when I saw it, I felt like that's something that happened a long time ago. But if you ran into some guy who beat your ass in the 80s, you'd remember that motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, there you are, bitch.
There you are.
I've been fucking waiting for this shit.
And he's called my dad. No, you're right. You're waiting for that bit. Just like in Fargo, that new show.
Here's Doug. Doug, go ahead, buddy. What's up?
Yeah, I'd like to just compliment you. I listen to O&A, and Rich is on there right much, but I've never heard him so relaxed and just the flow of the way you interview him. I really appreciate that. And could I ask Pepper one quick question?
Go ahead.
Well, when is he going to get his High Society Radio? We can download it on iTunes. I think that's got a lot of good stuff, but it's harder to load down to get it.
Which one of your podcasts are you talking about? Your High Society, Pepper?
Yeah, you can just go to morelikeradio.com. It's right there. It's all easy to download.
But can't you get it off of iTunes?
I don't think it's on iTunes.
Why not?
Bad production of the podcast.
Oh, is that right? It's not good. You tried to give it to iTunes and they wouldn't take it?
I got old Nanos. I mean, it's real old, and it's kind of hard to switch it up. I wish you'd get on iTunes. Ron, he does a good job on that. It really does. It's really entertaining.
Well, he's trying to keep it as
Kinda
quiet
like
as
some of your old
possible.
stuff.
Morelikeradio.com.
You started doing that podcast before anybody was doing podcasts.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was like over 6 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah. It's fucking OG. Back before there were podcasting networks, where we just put it up to a website and then download it.
Isn't the podcasting network even like what you guys are doing with Riotcast fairly new? Isn't that only a couple years old?
It's only a few years old.
Yeah, I mean, West Coast podcasts are big, and they were a lot. They're ahead of our time. I mean, Keith and the Girl is like one of the first podcasts.
Yeah.
Ever,
what was that?
From out of Queens.
Yeah, Keith and the Girl.
I never knew this.
That's like one of the first, because it's just been out there forever. It's pretty popular. It's called Keith and the Girl.
And they do it 5 days a week, too.
Yeah.
At their studio at home, and it's good. They're good.
Yeah.
They have great dynamics, and he's quick. And
why don't terrestrial radio ever pick up any of these people? I never get it. What the fuck happened to radio? Why did they get so stupid?
Well, there's no talk in New York, right? I mean, there's no.
Well, there's the national political talk. You can hear people use the words right wing and left wing, but there's nothing on the radio anywhere that's like Voss and Bonnie, where they just sit down and they're like real people having a conversation. If you're going to like it on your computer, why wouldn't you like to hear it in your car? Doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe they're scared to take a chance of, of subject matter, or everybody's running scared because of, advertisers and this and offending that or that. Why can't just people be real and, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I said it to Bonnie the other day. Women are fighting for women's rights in comedy, but yet they have an all-female comedy festival. You're defeating your purpose by saying we need, I mean, it's a double-edged sword because they're not getting as much work. But
So you're saying you need an all-white male comedy festival?
I wouldn't be in that. I'm a Jew. I don't consider myself white.
That would be amazing. A Jew comedy festival.
You don't see those.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them. I was saying there was some documentary. It was almost like the absence now of Jewish comedy. It was a lot of older guys, because really stand-up comedy came from that generation of Jewish dudes, and now everyone has adapted that way of being.
I think, you know what, with comics nowadays too, like when I grew up, I grew up and it was just parents being divorced and not dealing with the pain and not knowing as a kid so I would come home from school and listen to Von Meter and laugh every day, to Von Meter, and then listen, watch Ed Sullivan and Alan King and all the comics. And it was just, so you grew up loving comedy, and then you get into comedy, and that's why I really was attracted to Bonnie. When she knows comedy, she knows the history.
Right.
She knows, you could ask a new comic now, who's Steve Landesberg, and they'd fucking stare at you, or who's Bob Newhart.
Do you know who Steve Landesberg is?
I don't know Landesberg. I know Newhart. But, yeah.
How do you not know Steve Landesberg? If you like comedy, you say you're a comedy nerd. You don't know that name.
I'm sorry, I'll have to
Barney
look him
Miller?
up.
How about Gary Shandling?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, you better.
You say of course, but then you didn't say of course to Landesberg.
Just trying to cover my track.
All right, that's smart move. Smart fucking
He was
move.
a great stand-up. David Brenner?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did the whole special on him.
You did?
What was your special?
Well, I guess I pulled clips.
Him and Barney the dinosaur.
Who did you listen to? Did you listen to anybody growing up?
When I was growing up, the people that first got to me, I mean, obviously Carlin was that thing, but I remember even Cosby on TV was insane to me. But I was just talking about this with, I think when Attell was in here, that my parents were listening to this thing that my uncle had brought over, and it was like really redneck comedy. It was Andy Griffith doing this bit called What It Was Football. And I remember that being really little and seeing everyone laughing about these redneck jokes and not totally getting it, and seeing my parents laugh too hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is more than I want to be around. It was almost like you watched everyone do dope. You know what I mean? Like you're a little kid and watch everyone get high. Here's Chuck. Chuck, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to know, you talk about Jewish comedians, the history of comedy, of stand-up comedy, in particular Jewish comedy. Where would you put Lenny Bruce?
What do you mean, where would you put him? I mean, he's always going to be at the top of most lists.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of, is he a stand-up comedian?
Yes.
Is he a social commentator?
He's a stand-up comedian first.
Yeah.
First
And
of all.
he wasn't, back then, there was comics from that era that worked, like The Village, The Bitter End, The Bottom Line, The Village Gate, and all that. And he fell into that category. And then you had the Catskill comics.
Like the Real Mountain guys.
Yeah, the Real Mountain guys, the Freddie Roman, Dick Caprice, and all those older guys, right? And they never intertwined as much now as comics that, even like alternative and regular comics intertwined in different gigs and stuff. But it was different. And Lenny Bruce was a lower. He was a Village comic, I guess before Dylan, right? He was probably before Dylan.
A little before Dylan, but then into the same time.
Yeah.
But Cosby was down there then.
Yeah.
David Steinberg, Woody Allen, Joan Rivers.
Pryor,
who was, almost doing a Bill Cosby act.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great comics, but they used to work in and out of those folk guys, which I think is always kind of a cool format.
Well, so do I. It's the variety show,
right?
With real talent. I mean, look at Ed Sullivan. I mean, how big was Ed Sullivan? He took it to TV. I remember when I first started comedy, like I got to work The Bitter End, and I thought it was the biggest thing in my life. The history in The Bitter End, and The Village Gate, which is now a fucking CVS.
Right.
Bette Midler, Barbara Streisand, Joan Rivers, all of them were down in those clubs. And Lenny Bruce was there, but Lenny Bruce was saying things that none of them were saying.
Yeah. He was saying stuff that people would probably say after in the diner.
Yeah.
And, he actually just took it up on stage. But to me, that was like one of the first dudes that trusted that his audience could get stuff, you know?
And same with Mort Saul. And,
that's West Coast more, but
he was...
Now, do you know Mort Saul?
I'm sorry, I do not.
That's kind of a forgotten name, and he was really big.
Yeah. Yeah, but
he used to work with a newspaper under his arm.
And what do you call it? What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Like, you watched back then those Dean Martin roasts. Back then, they were probably the funniest things ever.
They were great.
They were, now, I mean, it's a whole nother, like, you'll listen to comedy like Lenny Bruce. You'll even listen to Bill Hicks now and go, that's okay. But you don't realize Bill Hicks was 20 years ahead of his time.
Yeah, Bill Hicks, who was, Ari Shafir was in the other day. People weren't even getting it. But Voss is right that at the time it seemed incredibly... I remember the first time I saw Sam. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Now, if you showed a kid Sam Kinison, 1986, they're going, but no one was doing the Jesus stuff. No one was, On
Saturday Night Live, he banged nails into his arms on SNL, which would have never happened back then. It was like, when Sherman Helmsley said honky on TV.
Yeah.
No one's ever, you know what I mean? But I worked with Hicks in Texas, in Lubbock, and I'm watching, I'm going, and he's probably only doing it maybe 5 years at the time. I go, I can never be this funny as long as I live. He's as funny and brilliant as anybody.
I had the kind of same thing, and I was at a point where I just started to really do well different places, and then worked with him and went, oh, fuck, I kind of feel a little embarrassed right now. Even though my sets were probably going better than his shit to me was so much more thought out. It was certainly less trying to please. When you're young, you just want everyone to like you and shit.
Well, like Stanhope, I think, is the closest to something like that. I think from this era, I think Stanhope is just at a whole, especially his writing, like when you read his blogs and his stuff. But the other night, and I was never not against, and I was never for, but we did a show with Janine Garofalo, and I'm watching her, I'm going, she's one of the best comics going. And the reason is because she didn't care what the audience thought. And not saying you shouldn't care about your own, but she was not only funny, she was fucking interesting. And I'm watching her, I'm going, man, that gives you motivation just to keep going. And me and Bonnie, like, the audience was some laugh and some. Me and Bonnie went back cracking up because not only is she intelligent, interesting, she's being silly on stage.
Right.
She's talking about her hair being parted, and and just, I'm going, I don't care what you care about her political views, this or that. As a comic, she is fucking good.
No, see, that's the thing that about Rich, because he kind of, you're kind of thought of as conservative, but funny will trump anything to you.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there's been so many times, like, even listen to Anthony, and I'm like, well, I disagree with that, and I'm fucking cracking up. I think it's really fucking funny. And those are the kind of guys that make you think, hey, am I too locked into what I think is right? And then you never, I think, want to put your heels in any belief system.
I don't think, I come off, I think I'm more moderate than conservative. Politically, gay marriage, yes. Abortion, none of my business. Welfare to yes, moms that need it. Okay. My only problem with politics is I think, and it's probably as much on the right. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm not looking for it. Is the hypocrisy on the left? That's what pisses me off.
Right.
Like during the Oscars, when I don't know her name, when she won Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
They stood up and clapped like she really was a slave.
Right,
They were clapping like she went to Harvard, okay?
Yeah.
Acting school.
And we're doing the same thing with the Michael Sam. Like, aren't we great? We're letting a gay play football.
Yeah.
Gays have played fucking football before, you idiots. They just have never said they were gay.
I said that to my wife. You don't think coaches knew their players were gay? They just didn't. They didn't commercialize and whatever the word is, sensationalize it. Okay, so some guy kisses his boyfriend after he's drafted. Okay, big. You know how many people kiss after and they're making a. You know what they're doing is they're trying to get a reaction, but when they get the reaction from the people they don't want to hear, then they're going to try to destroy those people for their reaction. Right. So they want a reaction, but only the reaction that they agree with. Do you see what I'm saying?
I get it 100%.
You know,
they want everybody to feel these things that, like, maybe a guy like you, particularly growing up here, you just let people be. You know what I mean? Which is way better than being supportive. You know what I mean? Just fuck it.
You are, live and let live. You are what you are. I mean, I remember I was a young kid and I was with my father. He lived in New York, and I saw two gay guys kiss, and I go, and he'd say, and he told me. So of course I wanted to try it, and then,
it's worked out for you. It's worked out for you and Bonnie. She gets extra boyfriends.
But you know what? It is just you're trying to get a story, and you're trying to get. You really want the people that are against it to come out so you could have another story and another story to follow up on.
Right.
And it's just ridiculous. And they're an interracial couple, right?
Yeah,
that's what people should be mad at.
Right, that's the angry part. That's
how
the
far
part that
we've come.
sickens me. That's why I think I'm further along.
Okay, it's not that they're gay; they're race traitors.
Here's the thing: there's a lot of other black gays he could be dating.
I know,
but that's not good enough for him because he wants his dick to look bigger.
Yes, he just. So if you're going to be mad at the right thing. But I guess I'm moderate. I agree and disagree with everybody. They all sicken me. It's either, I don't like Walmart better than Target for some things I do, some I don't. Some I go to Target, some I go to Walmart.
Last Comic Standing's coming back this year. You going to be watching or?
Oh, of course, yeah. I think hopefully it'll rejuvenate a little heat with me from the original season. And I like Wanda and JB. I love who's the host.
He's great.
He worked on Chris's movie. Also, just the greatest guy.
Yeah,
I knew him when he started. We all started in those. I mean, I was already doing comedy on the Blacks, and he was the nice. He's hands down one of the nicest guys. So of course we're gonna watch it. I mean, we're gonna sit in bed, Bonnie and I, watch it, and just going the whole night. Ugh.
Yeah,
and hopefully this is what's different about comedy. And this is why Simon Cowell was great. He was honest. And he would tell you what you did, why you were not going to make it, or why you can make it. Or he knew the music business. Okay, so Roseanne, Keenan, and Russell, who are the judges, hopefully they'll tell the truth.
Right.
Because when I watch it, when Geraldo, Andy Kindler, and Natasha were judges, they never said anything bad. They never said, hey, that's hack or that's this. It was always, you know what I mean? And it's tough to be in that position. It's not going to be tough for Keenan and Roseanne because they're at another level.
They've already got theirs.
They're at see, Andy, Geraldo, and Natasha we're still in the circle with those comics. So it's really hard for you to say to a comic that you're going to work with maybe in 2 weeks, hey, that stinks and that's hack.
Yeah.
So they couldn't be honest. So hopefully this year they could be honest. And
what I think is funny about it is I think Roseanne has almost ignored comedy for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, once she became such a huge star with that sitcom, I don't think she ever walked into another club again. So this will be interesting to see her point of view. And she is kind of a blunt person.
Yeah.
Well,
I know Keenan's been on tour.
Yeah.
And Russell's been on tour forever.
Yeah.
You're right, Roseanne. It's weird. A lot of comics, they don't get to go back on. I mean, Seinfeld, he didn't get to go back on stage really till after his sitcom.
Yeah.
I guess it's
It got too
consuming
weird.
so much of their life, and
Yeah.
also it's too like Murphy can't go on stage because here's what I think: if Murphy went on stage, he would have to work out new stuff to get it good.
And it's too hard to do. And
It's too hard to do.
embarrassing.
Well, it's not that. People are going to film him working out stuff, and it's not going to be complete yet. And it's going to be all over YouTube. Look at Murphy bombing, but he's not bombing. He's
working
coming
it
up.
out, yeah.
He's working it out. So where does a guy like Eddie Murphy go to work out new material? You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
too
it doesn't
big,
happen anymore.
You know? All right.
Thanks so much for being in
Thanks.
here, dude. You're
I
always
love it.
fucking great to
Thanks.
stop by. Rich Voss and Buddy McFarland. My Wife Hates Me podcast. Next live show, Tuesday, May 20th at the Village Underground. These are really special, fun shows. The wonderful Jim Norton will be there to help as the celebrity guest marriage counselor. And then Voss and Bunny are at the Arlington Cinema Draft House this Friday and Saturday. ArlingtonCinemaDraftHouse.com. Thanks so much for stopping by, buddy.
This is great.